everybody, and welcome back to the Rude Boys Podcast.
It's your boy, Austin Robertson of the Rude Boys Podcast here again with my special host friend Kyle Long. I'm doing it this time.
We got some real peak Season 2 energy there.
Season 2!
Season 2!
Reference.
We've ascended.
You're doing it. You're introducing the episode.
Season
Welcome
2.
back.
Season 2.
We're well into Season 2 now. It's
been a minute.
But yeah, the last episode wasn't that long ago. It was a little over a month, right? A month and a half, maybe?
We picked up pace.
We have. This is the picked up pace. I like it. Speaking of last episode, people really dug the Afterglow episode.
I think that's good. I think Afterglow was a very interesting album. And of course, we both just flagellated ourselves constantly, praising Static Home in particular.
It was a good song. It's a good song. Static Home's really good.
It's a good band with good people.
Yeah, the band liked the episode, so hey, I think pretty successful, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a success whether or not the band likes it, but it's always nice to get some thoughts from them. Know that we're all kind of on good terms and all that.
We just make this podcast for fun, but if people actually like it, that's cool. I like to make a product that people enjoy.
Any fun kind of news since the last show? Anything fun that we could slide into the bullshit section?
Something very fun I know you made. You contributed, Austin. You set up an Instagram account for the podcast.
I did do that, yeah.
You've been having fun posting whatever you feel like on there, and I encourage it. Honestly, I'm an old man when it comes to social media. I'm barely on Twitter, which is probably a good thing nowadays. And I've never had an Instagram, so Austin was like, I'll just make one. And apparently bands are following it now, so...
It's pretty cool. It's cool to see what people are posting on there, yeah.
It's actually cool, yeah. So, yeah, by all means, you run that. I'll be happy to hold it down here, making the actual episodes on YouTube.
Speaking of social media, something that's happened since our last our show. I don't know if we mentioned it because we talked about our arch nemesis,
the evil, diabolical.
I don't remember if we had mentioned that he himself was kind of tricked into buying Parler, which is, of course, the incredibly failing, terrible, like conservative Twitter.
That's what Parler is, yeah.
Yeah, it's not very good at all. I think Candace Owens kind of tricked him into buying it from her husband or whatever. Very hilarious.
Hello, Yi. Would you like to play a game?
That is a great idea. I would love to buy that.
If you want to get out of this birdcage, you have to. Birdcage, the bear trap. You have to buy Parler for $70 million.
And if I had a nickel for every time incredibly idiotic, stupid fucking billionaires bought social media platforms completely for no good reason, then I'd have 2 nickels, and it's weird that it happened twice because Elon finalized the Twitter acquisition and is speedrunning, destroying the company.
Speedrunning. Oh, I'll go over here. Oh, I get the jump. Nice. We got the glitch. We got the $8 account. Oh, we got the.
You gotta let that sink in. Isn't it funny? He came into the office with a sink. Isn't that humor?
I didn't laugh. I've seen it. I didn't laugh.
I can't believe you didn't have as much audacity at that event than others I have. This grown-ass man comes in with a joke that would have never been funny, not at any period in time, and immediately tries to fire half the people there.
What's the one you mentioned earlier today?
Yeah, now it's $8 to get a check mark.
You can pay $8 for it. So what was it? Oh, the insulin, right?
The only thing on Twitter that would like mark you as an official account, because every other social media thing has like a verification system, and the blue check mark was that for Twitter, so it just doesn't have it anymore.
So what happened?
There have been a lot of very funny examples of people trolling companies and people by using the check mark.
Yeah,
and
was it? Lilly something?
Eli Lilly, which is an evil company that makes medicine.
Yeah.
They
got to make money, Austin. They got to make money.
They had an imposter. They had an imposter who did a funny insulin is now free. Insulin is now free. They lost a lot of stock trading power with that. So it's like
no, stop it quick! No, people think it's free! No!
All it took was one tweet and they dropped like many percents on the value. which is equivalent to billions of dollars.
The percent of the actual company went down because somebody not them they bought a blue check mark for $8, said insulin is free now. No.
And so,
freaking out,
the additional hilarious to this is that they are a lot of brands are trying to get a hold of Elon and Twitter at the moment, and they can't because the fucking person who's in charge of that whole department is quit, and all the people that Elon immediately fired. He's like, please come back. There's no one here to do what we need done. We're gonna go bankrupt soon, guys. Come on.
So yeah, Vic requested, our mutual friend Vic, requested longer bullshit sessions on the podcast, so I'm glad we got that right off the bat. I have plenty of other stuff to talk about, though.
Yeah, what do you got, buddy?
One thing we did together, we watched those spooky movies for Halloween.
Yeah, we had a spooky viewing session. We had two spooky viewing sessions. The first one we watched was Puppet Master. Yeah, favorite of mine.
I have not seen that movie in a long time, but it is very funny.
It was very funny to watch. Lots of really funny low shots.
I love the shots of Blade running low on the ground.
The very opening shots of Blade parkouring off of briefcases and chairs is
breathing
very funny.
Heavily. And Pinhead. Is, every time Pinhead is on screen, especially when he gets thrown around.
Kyle quickly edited in the video segment a super cut of Pinhead getting thrown against things.
Pinhead just getting thrown. I already have that in my notes, yep. The beginning of the movie is very slow. It takes a while to get into the goofy shit.
Oh, I told you about the Pinhead comics as well.
You did tell me about it. Yes!
They're very good. They're very cool. And,
the Puppet Master comics.
And they kind of try to follow different threads, and then I think were canceled before they could really finish them.
Unfortunately.
It's a shame.
They were cut off too soon. And then we watched one of my favorite horror movies.
I watched Hellraiser for the first time because of you.
Yeah! What did you think?
It was... okay. I liked it.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Adam from Your Movie Sucks also didn't really like the original. He also pointed out the hilarious running puppet that people are... you can see the people's hands behind it.
Yeah, it's so easy to see.
But I like the practical effects, especially the upstairs room where she kills the guys in. Spoiler.
The regeneration scene was really good.
Yeah, that's filming that stuff backwards, and also just all the effects on it. It's really fucking cool. It's all practical too.
Yeah.
And the faces the actors make. They make really insane faces. And of course the Cenobites. The Cenobites are sick. I love them.
We had a lot of fun just like riffing on both films, I think.
Yeah, that's a good Halloween time.
I really just enjoyed like the idea of like actually being the Cenobites during the movie, where it's just like a lot of the time like someone runs out of the room and they're just kind of left there. It's just really funny to me.
And you know something funny that you did that I hated and got really angry?
Yeah,
you haven't even seen the movie yet. And throughout the movie, he was constantly riffing off the Cenobite lines. He was like, we have some things to put in front of you. We have delights to share with you. He would constantly say it wrong. Throughout the whole movie, I was seething. I was like, shut. Frank was about to do the famous line, the famous Jesus wept line, and I had to tell Austin, shut up! Shut up! Shut up! I never do that.
Funny.
I want to apologize. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I had to do that, Austin. I was just like,
it was very
fucking...
I was doing it a lot. It was just like, we'd like you to see this. Just variations of that the whole time.
It's funny now, but at the time I was just like, I love this movie. Can you just like not do this bit? It's okay. I liked it. Thank you.
Unconsciously, I ended up doing it to another thing that I didn't actually know was going to happen in the movie.
Did you really?
Yeah, I don't know if you, like the very first time that, his name is Frank, right? Like,
yeah.
The first time he shows up, I was just like, my brother's downstairs. He's got a pretty good looking skin. I'm just saying, I need it.
He did say that. You're right.
I say that like right at the beginning of the movie.
You never even seen that. You had no idea he was going to do that.
It just seems kind of obvious.
You had some idea.
I was like, a little bit of his blood was really good, but he's got a pretty intact skin down there.
Oh God, the nail scene is so that grossed me out as a kid a lot when he's moving the couch or whatever, and it just.
I love like eldritch horror creatures being like very like buretized.
They're pretty chill, honestly.
Where they're just like, she's just like, Frank got out. And it's just like, wait, what did he?
What?
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 Chatterer, that was your job. You didn't check him?
Chatterer just goes,
is she right?
I love Hellraiser, dude.
The
I
fuck
think
do
it's
you
great.
mean he got out?
The fuck do you mean?
Oh shit, this is not gonna look good on our end of reports. No.
You know what else we watched?
We're gonna lose our motive.
We watched Alice.
Oh, we decided to have a stop motion day the other time as well.
Yeah, we watched the 1988 Czech movie, Alice, with a bunch of really cool stop motion puppets and props. It doesn't really tell a lot of story, but it's cool to look at. You know, referencing a lot of stuff from Alice in Wonderland, which, you know, was very popular back then. Still is kind of popular now. I liked it. I thought it was weird.
It was super weird.
It was certainly weird. One of my favorite parts I gotta put in the episode is the trash can transition. That was one of my favorites. I love her going in the trash can.
I mean, I love the sock worms with the chattering teeth.
Yeah. Her drowning in her tears or whatever, the room filling with her tears was actually really cool.
Then the weird she becomes a life-size puppet that she's trapped inside of as well at one point.
It's so cool. It's the whole thing's on YouTube. You can watch it for right now.
It's so strange. It's such a strange thing. That was my suggestion. You also let me have the second suggestion that day.
Yeah, we did.
We watched Phil Tippett's Mad God.
Yeah, we watched the movie by Phil Tippett that he's been working on for a really long time. And it was super weird.
Super weird, but super good looking.
Not really interested in telling a cohesive story, more interested in just seeing how many cool effects he could get away with, because he is an effects designer. So it would make sense that he wasn't really concerned with making a movie for everybody to enjoy.
I imagine that there is some YouTube video out there that explains every single thing that's happening. I'm sure it'd be a great listen to actually hear if there is like a whole fucking thing happening. But
it's an art film. It's basically about a world with no God and how things go downhill from there. Or
perhaps a mad God.
There's nothing to intervene. Or perhaps a mad. You know, there's shit creatures. That's gross on the podcast. I don't want to show that. There's the dissection or the autopsy of the guy in the jacket or whatever, the things that get sent down.
Yeah.
That was really fucking gross. And it pulls out another fucking baby creature out of him.
I mean, you gotta say, like, the plague doctor puppet that they use in that fucking thing is fucking rad, though, right?
That's true. Yeah, no, there's some really cool fucking shit in Mad God. I still think it's worth watching if you like cool effects, but just be warned going in. Don't expect it to make sense or tell an interesting story. Don't even really expect it to be a horror movie. It's not, but it's interesting and it's cool to watch.
You know, it is a horror movie though. Our yearly tradition, and the real main course for our Halloween viewing together. It's been 1 or 2 years running now. We went ahead and we watched Scary Godmothers 1 and 2.
Scary Godmother. Yep.
Up-resed in 4K, found on YouTube. Scary Godmother and Scary Godmother: The Return of Jimmy.
Wow, I'm so glad we watch this every year. It gets better. Every year it's better and better and better. I want to keep this going.
We got to introduce it to Vic, which is nice.
And Corey. Yeah, because neither of them had seen it yet. And yeah, do they see why? Do they see why we love it so much?
I think so.
I think they liked it. I know I liked it.
It at least gives them context for all the shit that we quote from it constantly. Wolfie needs help. They are too mean to him. They need to either just kick him out or something. They gotta cut that guy loose.
Who, Harry?
Harry, yeah.
Yeah, no, he fucks it up for everybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's like, no one wants him around. Just
He's
get rid of him.
He's a fat piece of shit, Austin.
Piece of shit!
Yeah, so Scary Godmother was another good viewing. We're just prepping up for our other yearly traditions for Christmas viewing coming up soon.
That's already coming up soon. I mean, by the time we record the next episode, hopefully it won't already be Christmas, but we shall see.
I'm certain that we spent a good amount of time earlier in this season probably distilling our love for a certain holiday viewing together.
Yeah.
Specific one.
That's true. What else I want to mention? Do you have anything else? I have one more thing, but I want to see if you have anything else.
Go ahead and grab your other thing real quick.
I've been watching criminal trial footage lately.
Oh, no.
And there's one I want to talk about. It just recently wrapped up, like last week. But I've watched the entire Darryl Brooks trial. And it's a fucking ridiculous shit show. This guy, for those who don't know, Darryl Brooks drove his car through a Christmas parade in Wisconsin last year, in Christmas 2021. And not only did he kill 6 people driving through the parade at full speed, never stopping, he injured 60 other people. So there's all these witnesses seeing him do it. There's no way he's not gonna be called guilty, right? He killed people. He's an idiot. But instead of getting like a regular lawyer to defend himself, in fact, he had 2 lawyers at the start of the trial. He dismissed them. He told them he wanted to defend himself. And he talked to the judge and said, I'm going to defend myself. It's wise of me to do this.
It's wise of me to do this.
This is the right move.
Please bring me my case documents so I can build a safety fort with them.
The box for it. All right, I got to mention the box for it. He gets so fed up at one point with the proceedings that he puts a box for it up to hide himself from the Zoom camera. Because he's not even in the main courtroom. The judge dismissed him to the courtroom adjacent so that he could talk to the judge on Zoom because he kept throwing hissy fits. This dude is, oh my God, he's a joke. He makes every possible mistake you could make with, the saying, someone who defends themselves in court has a fool for a client. Obviously, it's true. He constantly interrupts the judge. He makes piss poor objections and shouts grounds. When somebody tells him what his objection is wrong. He has no idea what he's doing. I said it's the real life example of someone who wrote down a bunch of legal terms on toilet paper and called themselves an expert.
I mean, didn't he do like some sovereign citizenship at some time as well?
Yes, he absolutely did. He said that the case should be thrown out because he can't face his accuser because the state of Wisconsin is not in the courtroom.
Wow.
So every single witness he tells, do you see the plaintiff in this matter in the court today?
I am the living man.
Do you see the plaintiff? Do you know who the plaintiff is? Can you identify the plaintiff in this matter?
Do you see the plaintiff in court today?
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you know if there is a plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Sustained.
Have you had any prior knowledge of the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Sustained.
Bro. The state of Wisconsin is an entity and thus cannot bring charges against me.
No one has ever thought of this before.
No one has ever done that.
Who is the injured party in this matter? That's what he says.
He found the cheat code. He found the cheat code for U.S. law. He did it.
So obviously the sovereign citizen shit does not work, and it's hilarious, but it's also very sad and tragic because these are real people who he killed. And there's so many witnesses that bring up that he ran over their children. He killed, the friends of the grannies that were the dancing grannies. I felt so bad for them. They were in the Christmas parade, and yeah, like 3 of them got killed. It's ridiculous. It's absurd, and it's fucking my God. Obviously he got guilty on all 76 counts, and they had to read out every single one. We find him guilty. We find him guilty. We find him guilty. We find him guilty. The very first one, though, interesting fact. Some guy, I don't know who it was, he's not on camera. Some guy in the background, as soon as the guilty verdict is read, he shouts, "Burn in hell, you piece of shit."
Burn in hell, you piece of shit.
And immediately gets thrown out of the courtroom. But yeah, everybody said what we're thinking, so.
Yeah.
But you can't do that. You can't just have an outburst in court, man.
This is an example of a person who's he clearly has got very little in the way of human remorse for anything that he's done.
No, yeah, he's a huge narcissist. He only thinks about himself. In fact, during the closing arguments, he fake cries for himself. He fake cries for himself. He tells the jury they have the power of jury nullification to nullify his case and prove him not guilty. And it's just bro, who do you think is gonna nullify? Who's gonna stand up for you? Who do you think is gonna do that? And also, you obviously cannot do that in court. You can't tell the jury they have that power.
I am of the opinion that the death penalty should not be a thing. The courts are supposed to be, a system for rehabilitation chiefly. It's not supposed to be just a straight up punishment thing. But courts aside, just as an individual human being, I would like this individual to be in a room alone with just people who will wail on him until he dies as a red mass on the floor.
Oh my God. The witness that Daryl calls his ex-girlfriend, Erica Patterson. The prosecution said they didn't want to bring her up because what her stuff is, some of the stuff that he's done to her is not relevant to the case. So obviously it would be bad for him if he called her up. Daryl, if you call this witness, we will be forced to bring up to the jury the fact that you statutory raped her as a minor when she was 15 years old. And now the jury will have to know that this person that you've had a relationship with and had a child with, you got arrested for having sex with her when she was 15 and impregnated her when she was 15. That's not good for you, bro. And he does it anyway.
This is amazing. He's playing 4-level chess here, man. He knows exactly what he's doing.
It's absurd.
You wouldn't put a statutory rapist in jail, would you?
He cannot look good to this jury. Obviously he can't. And he just keeps digging himself a digger hole as the trial goes on. And it went on for, I think, 17 days. And I watched all of it every single day. Because I was it can't, every single day I was like, it can't get worse. It can't get worse. It can't get worse. And it just keeps getting worse. Day one, he got thrown out of the court, and you know what he did in the other courtroom, Austin? He took his shirt off. So the jury, everyone in the trial, can see him shirtless in the other room. They have the camera on him. So they can see him posturing, standing upright with his back to the camera, shirtless. Like, to nobody, because nobody's in the other room. He's just, I don't know. And he came in wearing his jail clothes, too.
Didn't he also want them to play the audio to the fucking rap video that they were gonna show to prove that the car that was in the parade was his?
I think he was embarrassed. He didn't want to show the video, but they showed it, because obviously it's relevant. Yeah, the car he used in the parade is in his rap video. His mom's car that he used. His red SUV. I thought She-Hulk was bad, but this guy is next level garbage. That's what I wrote. It's funny and tragic. I feel bad for the people in Waukesha, Wisconsin, who had to deal with this motherfucker and all the people who lost their lives. But thankfully, yeah, there's no way. Thanks to how good the judge did a great job dealing with him at every single thing. She never, like, lost her temper or, you know, held him in contempt. Not once did she hold him in contempt of court, because she knew he could raise appeal and act like, you know, this trial was unfair because she held me in contempt. She never did that to him. Never once. She gave him all those opportunities to make a fool of himself.
If you want more trial content with monsters involved, like, they've got that new school shooter trial happening at the moment.
Oh, that's a whole nother can of worms. I don't want to... That defense lawyer, his legal team.
His legal team's literally, like, flipping off people in the federal, like, in the courtroom, like, really pushing the judge to the edge.
It's actually absurd. They're laughing. They're laughing with the school shooter.
Yeah.
They're, like, smiling to him and acting like, we're going to get you off. It's fine. This is no big deal. Jesus Christ, dude. Oh, my God. Anyway, that's all my bullshit I had for today. And we've already gone for a good amount. So do you have anything else you want to talk about before we get into the band?
I guess I got one more thing. The only other thing was that the midterm elections have wrapped up.
Yeah, that did happen. It's November again.
Yeah.
Was there a recount?
No recount. There was no major recounts. Some of the counties took a while to get counted, though. The fabled red wave, as one would expect for an incumbent president, was more of a red mirage. Not really much happened at all.
Really? I haven't looked at the results. Is it really light?
It was a shockingly good Democratic turnout. We had a real good time. We were really worried because there's...
Wow, yeah, look at this.
I forget the name of the specific bill, but there's a bill coming up that is, like, really, really bad that the Republicans want to get through desperately, because it basically allows states to just decide not to listen to the public vote at all.
What?
So, like, right now the Electoral College is kind of tied a little bit to where it's like we tell the electors who to elect for, and they have to go with kind of a rough, kind of, like, they have a system with that. This bill that the Republicans are trying to shove through, which they would have if they had a majority votes where they could just go around the Democrats entirely, allows them to just say the Electoral College in red states will always vote for the Republican no matter what 100%.
Whoa, that's fucked.
It's literally a bill that just destroys democracy, and they really want it in because they don't like democracy.
Democracy bad. Yeah, we're right. Only us.
The more democratic things are, the worse Republicans do, shockingly. So they don't like it.
They want to remove the possibility of choice.
Yeah, basically. I think it was Nick Fuentes, actually, after the midterms said, jokingly, this is why we need a dictatorship. He was literally saying that.
Wait, no, there's no way he said that.
He clearly did. He said that exactly. And there was a whole bunch of co-posting from the conservatives over there. They had a fucking small panel where all the typical people...
We need a dictatorship! There it is!
Yeah, there it is.
What the fuck?
Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro and all that were up on there just mauling about it.
Take control of the government and force the people to believe what we believe.
Yeah, there you go.
What the fuck? I'm glad we're talking about all this political shit. This is a great episode to talk about all the political stuff.
Yeah, we are all domestic terrorists, just like the fucking thing said. There you go.
Jesus Christ.
I will say, Senator Fetterman.
Senator Semiden.
This dude, fucking great. We love Fetterman. Until he does something to anger us, which who knows. I have seen no signs of Fetterman hiding any cards, so if he can do what he says he's about, then Fetterman all the way. We love him. If we want, my favorite Fetterman reaction comes from the streamer Vosh, who was very drunk during midterm day, and when he got the results for Fetterman, just unleashed just the most hellacious bellow from his belly.
Yeah!
fucking giant troll ass fucking big boy. Yeah.
Just screaming his name. It's very funny. I'll send you the clip. Our democracy will live on for at least a little bit longer, so that's a good thing.
That is a good thing, I will say. All right, so you want to talk about a band that does not care about U.S. politics at all?
Yeah, speaking about the UK.
The JB Conspiracy is the band we're going to talk about today. I wrote, before I started about the band, I said, I hope I don't get put on a list somewhere for typing conspiracy into Google like 17 times.
What is the JB Conspiracy?
What is the JB Conspiracy?
Is this the next QAnon?
I need to know. This is an England-based band, originally from Surrey, but now London-based, I believe. They started in 1999, where the two main guys, Lank and Johnny, were in high school, and they got together to write songs, as you know you do. You get inspired by other bands, and you're like, hey, man, get some mates together, we'll write some songs. They originally called themselves Duff Muffin,
Okay.
which is a funny name, but maybe not great if you want people to take you seriously. So they played together for a while. They worked on their sound for a good 7 or 8 years, got some more band members together, and then in 2007, they released their first album, This Machine. I listened to it first before I dove into the one we're talking about today. Have you listened to This Machine, Austin? Do you know anything about it?
I have not.
Great. Okay, well, I can recommend a few songs from there. And I wrote down, I said, this is probably the most Streetlight Manifesto sounding band we've talked about. Other people, yourself included, have also compared them to the RX Bandits, which I think is very apt. You know, it's closer to a rock sound than our more traditional ska types we talked about. If you like those bands, you'll probably like JB Conspiracy. So, especially This Machine. This Machine is very that oriented. They've moved on and they mature each album, but that's where they started at, and that's where their first album came from. And Austin, you know, they played with Streetlight Manifesto. Do you know who else they toured with, Austin?
Who?
JB Conspiracy? They toured with Slow Gherkin.
There's our Slow Gherkin connection. Two
Slow
episodes
Gherkin.
in a row.
Two in a row. Bing, bing. Slow Gherkin.
Yeah,
You like Slow Gherkin. And the band also likes Slow Gherkin. I was listening to, there was actually an interview of it on SoundCloud. I don't remember the name. I think it's the Pod Punk Podcast or something. The Pop Punk Podcast or whatever. And they have members of bands. They brought on two guys from JB. I think the drummer and Lank. And they mentioned that they bonded over their love of Slow Gherkin in a club one night. So they did see Slow Gherkin and decided, you know, to work on the band together because they like that band. So, funny. It's coming together for Austin.
That's sick.
Your recommendations are becoming cyclical.
For a band like Slow Gherkin of all things is like one of those like bigger things.
That's crazy that we bring them up on the Afterglow episode and on this one.
I love Slow Gherkin though, man. I feel vindicated.
They're good. No, they're great. Actually, you're very vindicated. Other people also love Slow Gherkin, and they will recommend them to their friends, much like we will eventually. I'm certain eventually on the podcast you're gonna recommend a Slow Gherkin album. I'm sure. Anyway, so the title track of that album, This Machine, is really good. I also like Be Aware and BOC. I'll probably play This Machine for this bit, but also listen to those songs. They're solid, good tunes, but I think for that album, I can't really say it made me fall in love with the band. Some songs are just kind of average, kind of run-of-the-mill ska punk at times, and one of them actually made me audibly cringe.
Oh no.
I think the mixing, that doesn't usually happen with bands, but one song, I think just the mixing of it was not great. I think it was Superhero, but I listened to a live performance of that, and I think it's actually pretty good. And one thing I will say about this band, it's going to come back up later, but you know I like to preface things like you often do. This album should get you to go see the band live, because I think that's where they actually really come into their own. They really sound the best in a live setting. So the stuff that you're getting on the album is not necessarily what you're going to get in a live show. I would say go see a live show if you like what you're hearing on the album, and you'll see it's generally better. Generally, overall, I would say their live performances are better than anything on any of the albums.
Yeah, I think that's true of like 98% of ska, anything even remotely ska related.
I brought this up on Suburban Legends episode specifically, but the albums exist you to go see them live. The albums exist to make you want to see the live shows, and it works. For the most part, the live shows are amazing. Really good. So after that first record, they wanted to evolve their sound. You know, they didn't want to make This Machine 2. You know, some ska bands, they put out the same kind of album year after year.
They didn't want to make that machine.
So they took some more time. They released an EP in 2012 called The Calm, which comes before The Storm.
Oh, wow.
If you didn't know that.
High level.
I listened to that. I really liked the Skeleton Key off that. I played that at the end of the last episode, and I'm going to play it again now because it's one of my favorite songs from the band pre The Storm, and I'm sad it didn't make it onto this album. Another track from that IP actually made it onto this record, but Skeleton Key didn't. Kind of sad. I really like that song. Good, very good up-tempo song for the band. Super fun, a lot of good stuff. But anyway, get to this record. I asked the band about what was the process for making this record. I actually got in touch with them on email.
Insider information.
You know, we won't get a chance to contact every band we're talking about, especially not the one I'm going to break out. I'm going to start foreshadowing. I'm going to drop hints.
Oh, no.
You're probably not going to guess it, but yeah. The next band we talk about, I cannot contact.
Britney Spears.
Yeah, her new ska album, you heard about it?
I would never have guessed it.
So the band said they kept writing newer songs over the years from 2007 to 2013, and they just kept, like, cutting out recordings. They would just be like, nah, that's not new enough. They'd go back to what they wrote, their old songs, and just keep replacing them with new songs until they were happy with it. So they could have released multiple EPs. They only released one. Calm was the only one they released before the record. So they just kept cutting old stuff, writing new stuff. This band liked to be on the cutting edge. That's what I wrote. More recently, it seems like the band is aiming for like a pop-punk style on their Beginnings album, especially the vocals. Lanx is definitely sounding more like a pop-punk vocalist compared to his older stuff. The production on all of their albums is different every time, which I think is kind of unique. I feel like they've learned a lot each time, and they get different people to produce for them, so it sounds unique. They like to change it up every release. Before we talk about the album, I want to talk band members. We need to know who is doing what when we talk about an album, and I'm going to introduce you the names because you don't know who they are, Austin.
We had Eddie and Lurch. Those were the two I heard about already.
Eddie and Lurch. Oh, Lurch is a good name, honestly, for a frontman especially. I didn't have the lineup on this band readily available. I had to email them to get the lineup for the band for The Storm. I don't have a physical copy of the record. And they have a lineup now, which is different, and they have a lineup listed for this machine, but no lineup listed for Storm. So I had to email and be like, who worked on what on this one? Because I don't have that.
Did you have them confirm the track list order as well?
You gotta reference that? It's from the Melbourne Ska Orchestra. The great Spotify debacle. I didn't have to confirm the track list. There's only one version of this record. But they were kind enough. They responded to me on email. Took them a couple weeks, but I don't blame them. He gave me context for the record. Matt is the guy I talked to. Matt, who is also known as Lank. I refer to him in the episode as Lank because he's credited on all the albums as Lank. Matt's his real name. But thanks for talking to me, man. I appreciate it. I will use this info to give context to people while I'm talking about the album and also the people who talk about it. That's Rude Boys podcast lore right there. I love giving the context to bands and storytelling. This is important, all right? Bands are people too. Bands are not just product. You know, you gotta know who's doing what. So, lead guitarist and vocalist, Lank. He's got the most traditionally English look out of all the guys, I think.
Describe the traditional English look to me, please.
Traditional English look? You know, like a soft chin, good cheekbones, generally thin facial hair, not really rocking beards, generally. Looks like you could share a pint with him, you know?
Oh my god. Okay.
Perhaps a mega pint.
A mega pint.
I would love it more than anything for two Americans to just be the most ignorant about British people and just like ask them just horrendously like Brits specific questions. Who's your favorite doctor? What kind of tea do you like?
There's more people I gotta talk about, right? Mai is on bass. He's another of the founding members. He's a short guy, but he makes the bass he plays live look kind of huge. The bass is big in comparison to him. Bob was on drums and percussion for this album. I know there was a guy named Sam on this machine, and he got swapped in for Bob, who I think did a better job. I didn't reference the drums when I was talking about the machine, but yeah. The drums are mixed loud as fuck on the first album, and it's kind of distracting at times. In this album, I think they toned it down a bit, and they were able to get a more refined sound, which I think Bob does a good job at. Our first brass player on trumpet was Johnny, so he was one of the founding members alongside Lank. He also did the synths on this album, we will talk about. Mm-hmm. He's one of the backing vocalists alongside Spitzy. He was added after their first album. He's one of two alto sax players. There are two players, the other being Joe. He did keyboards on this record. Multi-talented band members, for sure. He did alto sax and keyboards. Still in the band as far as I know. Not sure if he's been switched out. I don't think so. Henry is on the tenor sax. He's the final brass player and the final member of the band. Did backing vocals alongside this and the previous album. And that is everybody. for this record. There's 8 people in the band now, but there's 7 on this one. There you go. That's all 7.
I mean, 7's a pretty good number for a band like this.
Yeah, I think 7 is a good, solid foundation. I don't know about 2 alto sax players, but, they do a good job. So I talked about the formation of the band, but I have to give proper context to this record before we get into the track by track. I asked Lank, by your recommendation, I asked if he had any anecdotes. He wanted to talk about, how the album was made. And I'm not going to read his exact words, but I'll sum it up for brevity. Basically, the JB Conspiracy was on their grind in the early 2010s. They had to bounce between 4 different studios because the original one they were using closed down. And they were working, full-time jobs. They had to squeeze in whatever time they could get everybody in the studio for. Trying out all sorts of different directions for where they wanted the sound to go. Remember, they were cutting old songs, writing new ones, cutting old songs, writing new ones, bouncing between studios. I mentioned this machine was very punky and streetlight-esque, so when it came time to record material for this one, the band was in a different place, mentally, and that comes through often throughout the record. He mentioned there's a lot of lyrics about escaping and leaving behind a difficult situation, which was what he was feeling at the time. I can relate. I think I had similar feelings in the mid 2010s. I kind of wanted to escape my situation as well. I think it's natural. There are some situations you don't want to be in, Austin. I think you can also relate to that.
Yeah, this was a rough time.
We like relatable ska music. I asked about what his favorite part of making the album was, and he said finishing it. He liked having it done.
Excellent.
It seemed like an uphill struggle. He was glad to have it out there, and he was overall happy with the end result. And he clued me in on the producer of the record, which I feel is important because the band's relationship with the producer can really shape an album, and this one was very special. Guitarist of the band, 100 Reasons, produced The Storm, a guy named Larry Hibbitt, and he's known for more guitar-oriented albums, and he wasn't really a fan of ska, which shows. Sometimes he doesn't really seem to know how to produce ska songs, so it's not that he's bad at it. It's not that he's bad. I just think it's hard to get a different perspective when you're making a ska record and you're gelling with a producer that doesn't really have an idea of what the sound you're going for is. So that's why this album sounds so different. I think it has a lot to do with the producer. But, like mentioned, he does like a lot of the guitar and rock sound songs on the album. He thinks those came through really, really well. That was his perspective on that. We got talk about from the band. We got context on the record. Do you want to talk about the actual album? Do you want to do the track by track on The Storm, Austin?
Yeah, let's jump into it. It's very interesting. I'm glad we got a hold of some topics from the band. I'm glad we get some of their insight. Mm-hmm. I wanted to propose this album as a departure from many of the other albums, kind of a curveball.
kind of a
curveball.
And what is he gonna say?
something you get away from, something when you're just trying to get a day to be by yourself, and you just want to play an old favorite game, like RuneScape, which if you take I couldn't fucking finish my bit.
I'm sweating bullets.
I couldn't finish my bit. Whatever, it's the escape. I would have loved if this thing was so out of order like the other one, where it was like it starts with fucking Peace of Mind or something.
God, no. I can't imagine this album starting with Peace of Mind.
I think The Escape is very emblematic of the band as a whole. We immediately start with like a real nice hook and horns, and the vocalist comes out immediately and just like tells you what he's about. It's a good first impression.
Got some good bends, got some good vocal work on this track. I looked up the Spotify numbers on this band, and this is by far the most popular song on there.
Definitely.
Probably because it's in so many playlists. I noticed a lot of people put it in their playlists.
It's got very good numbers for Spotify compared to a lot of the bands we look at.
It's got like 850,000.
Yeah.
A lot of people love this song. A lot of people think it's good for getting to know the band. People who want to get into JB Conspiracy, you have this buried in with a bunch of other ska bands. You're like, whoa, I like that sound. Let me hear more of that band. I point my finger at it like a Smiling Friends character. But I don't think it's that great. In my opinion, in terms of JB Conspiracy songs, I think at best it's pretty good. There are weaker tracks than this one. I can't give it too much flack. The chorus is great. I really like, all the vocal stuff he's doing. The horns are really pounding along with the guitar. It gives the band its own unique sound compared to its contemporaries. On re-listens, I think this inched closer to my number 5. but I just like other songs higher than it, so it doesn't make my top 5. It's a good choice for a favorite song for JB Conspiracy. I think a lot of people will like The Escape and think it is really, really good, but I don't, not me.
I'm kind of shocked by that.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think
Kyle doesn't immediately love the first song on an album, what?
I mean, I think this one does a great job of kind of like setting the album as a whole. You get an immediate idea of what the vocalist is up about. It's got a really good scale. It feels really grand for an intro. The momentum is all what this band is about.
Momentum.
Jesus Christ, this band keeps the energy rolling. for the Escape and for a lot of the music that I think is really good from this album, like I feel like this kind of music, more so than a lot of ska music that we have on this, is like perfect for like gym playlists.
Oh, gym playlist ska music. We haven't talked about that yet.
Music like The Escape by JB Conspiracy, their pacing is fantastic. They're really consistent with it. So it's like if you want like a playlist to just like keep yourself running on a treadmill.
This is a Spotify playlist song. I'm just gonna come out and say it. That's what it is.
It's not a bad thing.
No wonder they keep recommending it to people. It's not bad at all. It's great for the band.
I can definitely see like JB Conspiracy music like this pushing people to do a few extra reps and wail on the back is awesome.
I wrote in my notes, I think the song could have ended at like 240. I don't think it needed another repetition because it doesn't do anything super unique after that point. And this point's going to come back up later. There's a little bit of foreshadowing for the rest of the album. There's some extra repetitions in songs I think they could have held back on or cut down, but you know, I could partially blame the producer. I could partially blame the band because I mean they are performing it live, so they have some things to do with how the song is written and how it goes on for maybe a little bit too long. But that's just my opinion. So not a top 5 for me, but a good song. I think this is close to my 5 or 6, basically. Really good.
I think it's interesting. It's my number 2, by the way.
Oh, that's an immediate 2. Wow.
Yeah, we got it right away.
Holy shit. Your number 2 is Escape, huh?
Yeah, I have to give it a lot of credit because I do think it's probably what brings a lot of people to JB Conspiracy. Like you said, it's featuring plentifully on lots of playlists. But I think it just really lays out sort of what the band is about, at least at this stage of their career.
Certainly about escaping.
I'm very impressed with the vocalist when it comes to like the selling, singing with emotion, which is something that I often have issues with other vocalists.
Yeah.
Specifically, you know, our girl from the Interrupters. Like I like a vocalist who can sing well while also singing like they believe it and feel it.
Who? Jeannie? Mary? I'm making fun of the fact that you constantly called her by the wrong name.
So, like, unfortunately, Jezebel can't make it happen, but, like, our boy Lank over here.
Yeah, our boy Lank, he does a good job.
He's doing good. I like his vocal work. It's very unique. You hear him and you know it's a JB.
He's not the only singer, though. I feel like the backing vocalists do a really good job, too.
Yeah, we get some good group singing in here as well.
Yeah. Speaking of different feeling songs and vocalists, can we talk about track 2? I wanna say goodbye to track 1. I want to talk about track 2. Say goodbye.
Nice.
So what's the use? No matter how hard I try, there's no cutting loose from this hopeless situation when all our hands are tied.
You did it.
I really like the synth keys after the chorus on Say Goodbye. This song has a very different feel from the first track, and I like the harder guitar tone on it. And I feel like it's a bit more singable. The vocals are a bit tighter for me. The horns are a little drowned out in the mix, a little bit in the lighter half of the song, but I think the band, like in live performances too, I think the band is firing on all cylinders. I think everybody's doing a great job, and so, Austin, this is my number 1 on the album.
Already, wow.
Big surprise, my number 2 the track 2 is my number 1.
Jesus.
This is the only track on the whole album that I had the itch to hear again right after hearing it the first time. And you know me from all the previous episodes. If I want to hear a song again and again right after hearing it the first time, that's a good sign of quality to me. I felt that way about Skeleton Key and this, and that's it.
I think this is going to be another one of these albums that we're like split on.
Oh, excellent.
I liked it. It's got a very funky keyboard riff, which I really do like after the chorus.
Love the drum work, yeah, and the keys, yeah.
And I think this is the first time I noticed some of the lyricism in the band, which is like coming off Afterglow. You know, we love them, but I did kind of criticize the lyricism a bit.
You don't like the environmentalist songs?
It's not about the theme. It's just the way that it's delivered. The actual lyricism can be very important to like making a song flow nicely and not be all clunky. In the same way that you can construct a sentence that sounds very eloquent and nice to hear versus like a very clunky, grammatically weird sentence where it's like you're delivering the same information but in ways that sound very strange.
This song is very straightforward and well delivered.
Yeah.
Hearing them play this live, they start with the "We wait for this moment to arrive." It's great. It's really good. I really love the slow build up into the actual song when they play it live.
Yeah, I think JB's got really good lyricism. It's not clunky, but it's evocative without being like very over verbose or distracting. I like it. It's not in my top 5.
Okay, not in your top 5. Oh wow, okay, fair. So we're on opposites on the first track in this one. I think this is way better than The Escape, in my opinion. This is one of the better songs they've released. It's not as good as Skeleton Key, and I think Make a Promise on Beginnings might actually be better than this. But good, very good song. I really like it. And again, I have the itch to hear this one right after hearing it the first time. One note I wanted to make before we talk about the next song, I want to use this song to talk about how the band learned to be more subtle and learned subtlety on this record. On the first record, they kind of beat you over the head with their lyrics, and the mixing is really rough. So the maturing time between This Machine and The Storm, I think they used well, and on Say Goodbye, you can really tell the contrast. I know you didn't listen to This Machine, but going from that to this being on track 2, that felt really good to me. I feel like I heard the band really evolve. And that's a great contrast. What I'm saying right now, I sound, like I know what I'm talking about. Like I'm being sophisticated and eloquent. This is a great contrast to the album that I'm gonna pick next time. There's my foreshadowing for the end of the episode.
You keep foreshadowing. This next album better be something, man.
it's certainly something. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Let's get settled in, Austin. Let's drop anchor
on this here rolling sea.
Let's drop anchor.
Drop our anchor.
Talk about track 3, which is what's it called again?
Anyway,
He's not even gonna answer me. Fucker. Ruining my segue. We already said it. It's fine. So
that's why I let it hang. We already said it.
There's pretty sounding keys on Drop Your Anchor. We get more of those.
I like songs that start with something interesting.
Quiet. You like quiet starts.
Music box keyboard, slow intro, very enticing. I like it.
His voice contrasts a lot with that. And he's not a bad singer. I like Lank stuff. But I can't help but feel he's occasionally out of place on this track. So we get some fun back and forth between the synth and the guitar. I like that a bit. But for me, this is like bottom half of the record. I didn't love Drop Your Anchor.
I disagree.
Well, how do you feel about it? That's all I have to say about it. So
this is the first time that I hear JB dipping into like some light dub kind of instrumentation.
Yeah, true.
And then the writing. So we get that really good intro, which of course ticks boxes for me specifically, stylistically. And then they roll into a nice light dub horn line that I like. It's got good sway and bounce to it, like you're on a ship on the ocean, swaying and bouncing.
This is the second longest track on the album. There is a longer one later, but this is the second longest.
This was the first song on the album that I'm like, wow, this would be really nice and like as a piece of a larger soundtrack for like another piece of media. I think JB does a really good job of selling like themes of action and emotion. I love bloopy dub electronic breakdown after the second chorus.
Yeah, it has that.
Oh, I do love that.
What did I compare it to? I didn't write it in my notes, but every time I hear it, I hear like the bit from Kids in America. It sounds a lot like it's almost the same chords.
I think a lot of JB has really good flowing instrumentation, just like the way it's written. I think it's very good. It all flows together. There are no weak links in the band. Like everyone is flowing their weight.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. This doesn't make your top 5, does it?
It makes my number 1 spot.
No! I shouted, no!
We are diametrically opposed.
There's no way. This is your number 1. This is your favorite song on the record.
I like Drop Your. I like.
What in the world?
I like it.
I understand from your points you raised. You certainly like those things that this track does. Certainly, but the best track on the album? I don't even think the band would agree with you.
They probably would. I mean, what was it that they? They had sent a message to me on Instagram about it when I put up a teaser.
Oh, bring it up.
for it.
That's what they say. They called this like the difficult album, right?
Yeah, they said something
sophomore,
like that.
The sophomore album. Yeah, of course. That makes sense for a lot of bands.
And they said like, oh, that one.
That's the one. You recommended this one, so we're talking about it. We're talking about The Storm, and Drop Your Anchor is Austin's number one.
It is my number one. I like it a lot for sure.
That's crazy. All right, well, that's cool. I don't agree with you. I think it's bottom half. This is like maybe bottom 3 for me.
They called it the difficult second album and then sent me like an emoji with like teeth. Like, ooh, the difficult second album.
That's JB's take on it. But yeah, if you like it, sure, by all means. But let's get on to the next track. I don't want our ship to sink, Austin. Track 4 is called Sinking Ships.
What is it, that thing that loose lips do? What is it that they do?
They sink ships. So track 4, again, it has a really good chorus. I really like the chorus on Sinking Ships, and it has a truly excellent brass solo. The brass on this track is fucking sick.
We got raw trumpet
So
energy.
raw trumpet, yeah, and we got a sax solo too. They got both. You got both. And I said this is the most English sounding song on the record. It just has this unique tone that we don't get from other bands. I wrote only English bands tend to write songs like this. Like Sinking Ships. And I also wrote in my notes, do you know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
Do you know what I mean?
I really need you to like describe to me perfectly sometime like what you think
But
the most British everything is.
No, you know what I'm talking about, though. You know what the tone on this song is unique from the other ones, and it sticks out. It really does.
I'm sure that you're picking up on some cultural signifiers that I probably am noting slightly.
Bit by bit, maybe I'm more exposed to the Brits than you are, because I have a unique understanding of them, and I've also listened to British radio shows.
I've watched Faulty Towers. I've seen Doctor Who.
I haven't seen Doctor Who, but
I've been to the Flying Circus. I other John Cleese things, you know.
all right. What do you say about Sinking Ships? What do you think about
The
that?
hook here is very good. I said that this shit would be at home in like a rock opera, which I think is good for a lot of their songs.
Oh yeah, it would. No, dude, this would be great on a stage play.
That's
Absolutely.
a lot of their music I think would be really good as like a fucking stage thing.
God, JB Conspiracy stage play. Let's do it.
I make this note specifically later in this album, but like if there is one band that I want to make like a concept album, it's JB Conspiracy.
Oh yeah. I guess they haven't really done that. No, he kind of just writes what they kind of just write what they feel, what they're feeling at the time, and then get it out there, which is good.
Yeah.
But you know, yeah, having a theme and really exploring that, I think they do that very well on individual tracks. But you're right. I think having a concept album would be great for this band.
I love the group singing that acts as response to the vocalist's call in the song, and of course we get two big raw trumpet sections, which are really good. I would love to see several of these songs really make me pine for the concept album from JB Conspiracy, and I was like, I would kill for a JB concept album about some fucked up cyberpunk plot. There is a lot of synth in this album, and I like it.
No, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. I pointed out specifically. I don't remember who it was. I talked to a band on Twitter. And I pointed out, because I'm doing research for the JB Conspiracy episode, I said their keys are nutty. I would recommend JB Conspiracy because their keys are great. They're actually really good.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these tracks could be edited down into like Cyberpunk 2077 trailers and work perfectly fine.
Austin, does this make your top 5?
Sinking Ships almost does. It was up there for a minute, but it didn't quite make it at the end.
Not quite. You know what? This is Austin.
Are we really gonna just half and half the whole thing?
It's my number 2. It's my number 2 on the record.
Oh my lord!
Right after my number 1 on track 2, Sinking Ships is my number 2. I think it's really fucking good, especially on this record. It sticks out. It's just I want more of this from the JB Conspiracy. This is the kind of sound I think they're really, really good at. I got out of my chair and sat back down.
I really liked it. It was really close.
Sinking Ships, honestly, I think the band also mentioned that they like Sinking Ships a lot too. And they like the next track even more. In fact, I think Joe and Lank both said...
You spread your wings.
Track 5, yeah. Taking Flight.
As we're taking flight, I can't deny the sense of longing to be on solid ground. Free as a bird, but trapped like we belong inside a cage. And there's no one with the grace to let us out.
The next track that we're going to talk about right now is Joe and Lank's a favorite. When asked, when interviewed, they like this one a lot, and it sounds really cool.
This is the first point of criticism for me, largely.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it. You go first.
I think the vocal effect at the very beginning sucks.
Oh, yeah.
It's the weirdness of it is accentuated to me because the only like instrumentation that's happening along with it is like boom whacker. It sounds like a boom whacker.
So obviously they don't have that in live shows, but on the record, I'm gonna go ahead and say that was the producer. That was the producer's choice because I don't really think it sounds good either.
I will qualify my distaste for the weird vocal effect and the fact that it sounds like it's coming in with boom whackers at the beginning. That the trumpet and sax immediately like slams in and wakes me the fuck up after that. So.
The horn lines feel great. I wrote that, and I like the choices made on this track. The synths too, also really good. I feel like Taking Flight uses its room to breathe and flesh out its ideas better than some of the other tracks on the record. The guitar is a little bit loud on the chorus. Lank is a little drowned out by it. He's not great in terms of vocal performance on this track. It's not perfect, but I like it a lot. It suffers from production and mixing more than what the actual band is doing. The composition is solid. So this made my number 4.
I mean, I love like the heady synth bass that it has.
Yeah.
It's very like 80s neon.
This is the first taste of the synth wave that we're gonna hear later.
if I were to have an original show, let's call it Strange Items, then I would definitely use a song like this.
That's a British show. Strange Items.
Yeah, Strange Items.
Yeah. Oh, today on Strange Items, we're gonna talk about the JB conspiracies taking flight. My boy, I'm sorry. My accent's terrible.
It's another example of like perfect motivation music. They're very consistent with that.
Yeah, no, this would go great on the Spotify gym playlist. Absolutely.
This one, the top 3 for me are like really neck and neck, and this one almost beat Drop Your Anchor, and I ended up. It's. This
is your number 2?
It's my number 3.
Oh, it moved down.
I have it like
neck and neck, tied basically.
I think Drop Your Anchor beats out The Escape and Taking Flight for me, but like Taking Flight and The Escape are like so close. I dare not even like separate them in my mind. Largely.
This one didn't make my top 3. I think 4 is still a really solid number. It's a great song by the band, honestly.
Definitely a solid 3 for me, for sure.
I think Say Goodbye is better than all of them, honestly, though. I think Say Goodbye is better. But that's just me. That's my opinion.
I'm just going to say this is the last time I'm taking it from you, though.
Track 6 is the next track we're talking about. It's called The Last Time. Intro on this track. I think this is the first JB song I heard ever. Really? This is the first one you heard? This is what you heard on so Spotify recommended you this and not The Escape?
I think I heard Last Time like for the first time maybe 4 years ago.
Ooh, okay, we're going back.
Just kind of randomly brought in on a random playlist.
You said you hadn't heard this album before we talked about it. You only heard bits of songs.
I've only heard a few songs sporadically, and this is an example where it's like I've heard The Escape, I've heard Drop Your Anchor, and I heard Last Time, and I'm like, all right, let's dive into this band. I think this will be an interesting one.
What did you think about Last Time? This got you into the band?
It's got a great horn line. I think this is one where it's like the lyrics and the vocal delivery really stick in my head. I think this is like for me, it's flagship, which might be largely influenced by the fact that it was probably one of the first things I heard from them.
It's classic bitter JB conspiracy. You can really feel how fed up this band is by the lyrics on this track, as well as pretty much every other track on the album. They're fed up, they're bitter.
I am known for loving bitter emotion in my music. So
This is absolutely you, Austin. This album is so you. I get it. The bass is super good. I think the bass on this track is some of the best.
yeah, there's a lot of really good bass in this
Dude,
one.
Mai's bass on this album is sick. On this track, sorry. And the last time is sick. It's so good.
The bass is really good. I like the way that the vocals flow in this a lot. We had a funky little solo change up with the drum and bass later on in the song as well, and it really builds up slowly again.
I like the band getting to strut their stuff, and the band does that on this song. But Lank, the vocalist, kind of fucks off at the 2:15 mark, and he just never comes back. The whole rest of the track is just the band playing.
Yeah, you said it was gonna be the last time. And they left.
Yeah, and the whole time I'm listening, I'm like, okay, how long is this gonna be? It's a minute and a half of just the band wrapping up, and it's kind of a weirdly long time in my opinion for the band to just get to the end of the song. This is one of those things I pointed out. It makes me like not like the song and the album as much because it just kind of takes a while to wrap up. I don't have one of those Dave Chappelle shows wrap it up button, but if I had it, I would probably push it on this one. Not in my top 5.
No, it's my number 4.
Oh, right after my number 4. Wow, we really are coming in from opposite directions with this one. I really love the juxtaposition on our podcast. Let me tell you, Austin, it's great.
Sometimes we're perfectly in sync, and other times we're just like really far off.
It's like this. We're like completely like, what? Really? You felt like that? I felt like great, you know. And I felt like, yeah, it's good, but yeah, it's just it drags a bit.
This one was putting you to sleep.
No. I was just surprised at how long it took to wrap up. The first half of the track is really, really good, and I like Lank stuff. I wasn't in love with the horns as you were. I think the horns are a little generic for the beginning of the track, up until when the saxophones come out. Saxophones do a great job, but early on, it's kind of okay.
It seemed like it was putting you to sleep, but I think it was keeping me wide awake though.
You fucker! I didn't even see what you were doing. God damn it.
I didn't see it at all.
The perfect segue. I haven't scrolled down in my notes. It's on the next page. This track 7's on the next page. I didn't see what we were looking at.
You weren't prepared.
God damn it.
You really were sleeping.
Track 7. The intro to this track is weird. You know, they're going for like a reggae sound, and they do it a couple more times on their other songs.
I have the least amount of notes on this.
Really? Yeah, really? I wrote, it doesn't work. It does not work.
Having a small amount of notes usually is not a good sign for me.
I wrote, the band makes a decent attempt at emulating the sound they want for Wide Awake, but I don't know. About this one, I mean, it's just not that strong. There's nothing, like, impressive to latch onto. That's probably why you have nothing to say about it. It could be the producer didn't know how to make, reggae track shine, or it could be the band lacking a strong direction, like a solo thing. We want to make this for this song, because they were just bouncing around so many different ideas. I feel like this one got lost. It could have been, I'm going to say it, it could have been left off the album. This is a skip for me. I don't like Wide Awake.
Yeah, I mean, when it started, I was like, hey, Moody. Yeah, I like Moody. That's neat. It's a nice little like mid-album breather. It's steady, it's thematic. I can kind of vibe with it as like a little interlude for the middle of the whole thing.
It's 4 minutes long, and it has the exact same duration as Taking Flight, but it feels way longer. It feels so long.
Small spoiler, I guess, for some of the coming songs here, but I liked it as a middle point, as like a little resting point. Where it's like, wow, the first 6 tracks have been really energetic, really keep me, I can't keep my legs still. Like, this is a nice little breather, and I can't wait to start running again. A
lot of good dancey songs on the record, and hearing them live, honestly, they get the crowd moving. Very happy with the band. I think they do a great job on that front.
Yeah, I think Wide Awake is perfectly fine. I think that maybe I would like it more if the album were structured differently, but I unfortunately don't have a lot to say about it. I like that it's different, I like that it's moody, but I don't really have too much to really go off other than that. Not in my top 5.
That's fine. We can talk about the next track, which...
Yeah, talk about it quietly, though.
We're going to talk about, very quietly, this is the ASMR part of the podcast. We're going to talk about track 8.
I hate it. Get out of my ear.
It's
Stop that.
Whispers.
Cut it out.
It's called Whispers.
Starts with a whisper resonating from the core. battered souls amongst the rubble wanting more.
Stop it.
I didn't even know if that came up on the recording. It did. So this is the shortest song on the album, track 8. It's only like 2:49. It's not even 3 minutes long. And I think this song has the best drumming and the best keys on the record.
Yeah, this has got the best piano. I love piano.
I love the piano. It's so good.
You know what I wrote in my notes about this one? It's the JB Conspiracy anime OP track.
You're right. It totally is. It's totally the anime opening of the JV Conspiracy songs.
Very good. It's very fun.
You know what it has, Austin? We all speak at once. You know what that's considered? Group singing. I cut him off.
We have things I like. We have piano, we have group singing, we have anime.
It has a really cool ethereal sort of sound in the latter half too. And the claps. It's got claps. It doesn't really do enough to up the wow factor, but the things in the song are really, really good. But there's no live performance of the song on YouTube. I'm really sad. I wanted to hear them play this live because on the record, I think it's great. It's my number 3. I really like Whispers, dude. It snuck up on me. It surprised me.
I'm shocked by that, but
Yeah, I love Whispers. It's got some great stuff for the band, dude. I really, really like Whispers.
For a song that, at least to my ear, has the same tale to tell as Talking About a Revolution.
Talking about a revolution sounds like a whisper.
Sounds like a whisper. It's the same thing.
You know, their voulumes, when their voices overlap, it becomes louder. Did you know that?
Wow.
Did you know that? I'm gonna overlap your wows.
Wow. Wow. Not this time.
Not this time. It's totally made up.
Didn't happen.
Jonathan Frakes gaslights you. Yeah.
That shit always
It's
be
false.
fun,
We made it
you
up.
know,
A writer wrote that one.
Not on your life.
Not on your life. All right. So, did this make top 5? Number 4 or 5, maybe?
No. It was. This is one that
Wah.
might be tied for the number 6 because it's really close. 'Cause
okay.
It does have a lot of the shit I like.
I have another song like that. That's fair.
For me, I feel like the energy of the album is very front loaded. So it's like,
Oh, really?
I feel like I spent like the first 6 tracks of this album like running a marathon, and then it's just like, wow, what a good breather after Wide Awake. I can't wait to get running again. It's just, okay.
I really like the transition from Wide Awake into Whispers. Not this. Sorry, from Whispers into the next song.
I noted it as well, where it feels like it was a designed continuation. Yeah, just like this podcast, it's going up in smoke.
Let's just pretend, just for a minute, things were panning out exactly how we planned. Exactly how we planned. And we'll try to keep ourselves from falling off the map. Anticipation takes us as we...
Track 9. This was on the Calm EP. And this got moved over to the Storm, and it sounds the exact same. It's the same recording.
Yeah, this is the only one with an explicit rating on the entire album, because I think they say motherfucker at one point.
It does. This was my least favorite song on the Calm EP. And somebody, I don't remember who it was, on Ska Reddit talked about this band and this album. And he said something like, I really like the Calm EP and what they did on this machine, but I didn't like that song Going Up in Smoke. And it feels like they expanded what they were doing on this track for the whole album, and I didn't like that direction for the band. And I said, you had my exact thoughts. Exactly. I agree. I wish they hadn't done so much of this style of song on The Storm. I think this is not the greatest direction for the band. Lank sounds weak on this track, even when he tries some of the more difficult notes. And the brass is like disappointing too. But the worst part is the backing vocals. The backing vocals on this track are weird. They don't fit. They're just, they're weak. They suck. No offense.
Yeah.
I love you guys, but it's weird. I don't know there's no real explosion of energy for this track. There's not much fun to be had. And I want to clarify, on the recording of this song, the version of this song on the album, all what I just said applies to that. So I got curious, and I looked up what it sounds like in a live setting. And it's actually really good. There's a performance of them playing it in 2009 way before the EP or the album release, and it's good. It's way better. The band gives it a lot more energy than this recording does. So I think I'm gonna lay the blame solely on well, mostly on Larry, on the producer. I think the production of this song is fucked.
It's fucked.
It's way better live. It's actually pretty good. And so much so, I'm sorry, I'm hogging all the time for talking about Going Up in Smoke, but along with Escape, this was tied for my number 5 for a while, but it actually sunk down. This is my number 6 on the record. So I would put this at 6 and Escape at 7. And I think the JB Conspiracy, the people who will get into the band with Escape, will probably like this song too. I couldn't quite make my top 5, but it's kind of a banger live. I think the composition of the track is solid, and the performance they give it in live shows is great. But this version on the record is just not that good. It's not as good as it could be. So that's my talk. Sorry about it.
Unfortunately, a lot of my opinion of Going Up in Smoke is also kind of lukewarm. This was the point where I'm really feeling like the album was kind of front-loaded. Like, there's more going on here compared to the last 2 songs for me, for the most part.
Say Goodbye's my number 1, so that's pretty front-loaded.
And that it's got like this kind of half interesting, like, Dark Showman vibe, maybe, in some of its theming.
Half interesting is definitely the word I would use.
Some like, again, like, half decent sex work, but I just
the backing vocals are good on a lot of other tracks. It's weird. They're weird on this one, right?
Yeah, this one's just a bit strange.
It's strange.
It's a shame because you know it can happen with the weird mix or just direction.
See, it's got, I think, composition-wise, it works, but the actual recording on the album is weird. It's weak. I don't know what it is. I feel bad for saying bad things about a song. I do like enough to make my number 6, not my top 5. But enough to be my 6. There are weaker songs on the album, as we've mentioned.
I think it needed a bit more energy. And like energy, would you mind handing me those 2 specific branded energy drinks? The ones that have, like, the Sour Patch flavors? Did you know the ones I'm talking about?
No.
The yellow cans?
I've never had an energy drink in my life.
Yeah. I'm asking you to hand me the Ghosts. You see, it's funny because there's an energy drink called Ghosts.
Cool.
Over here.
You
get a good. They have really good Sour Patch flavor.
This is the longest track on the album, Austin. This is almost 5 minutes long, 4:51. I would say this song most fits the album art. It's spacey and synth-wavy, which is funny considering this came out in 2013. This is exactly when that sound was becoming popular. In 2012, 2013, synthwave, like, exploded in popularity. People really love that shit.
They do a good job of it.
Yeah, they do a good job. I like Lang singing, and the guitar work plays around. All that free space is really good for the band to, stretch their legs and have fun with it. But it's not a ska song. I'll be 100% honest. Can we recommend this to people who like ska music? I mean, the JB Conspiracy, sure. I think this works for the band, but as a ska song, I don't think so.
I think sometimes what is ska is the proverbial question. Like, what is punk?
Yeah, no, of course.
You know?
We talk about that plenty of times.
For this instance, this specific case, my answer is I don't care. It's on the album.
It's on the album. Sure.
I love the cyberpunk shit. I like it when JB does the funny synth cyberpunk shit.
This is more up your alley. I respect that.
I like the flowing lyricism again and loopy synths. You know what? I noticed that the verse and the chorus has like this interesting kind of like endlessly building feature to it.
Yeah, it feels like it's always building up.
When the way I wrote it down here, it's like the chorus and the verse builds endlessly, not quite hitting a peak, which sounds like a bad thing. But I don't think it's a bad thing. It's a lot like a shepherd tone. Do you know what a shepherd tone is?
Yeah.
I like that quality on this one. It's heady, it's steady. I like the heavy synth work. It's my number 5.
Wow, this made your top 5! Dude, we really have strongly opposing, well, not strongly, but mostly opposing feelings on this record. Yeah, this didn't. I didn't have that much to say about it other than what I said. I just think it's kind of neat, and it goes on a little bit too long. But yeah, it certainly doesn't make my top 5. That makes your number 5. Wow, Ghosts, huh?
I guess the direction I like for the band is I like this kind of like heady synth mixture with ska is like a really unique thing. So it really gives them like a perfect niche to fill.
It has a ska like opening. It opens sort of like like it's going there, and then it goes full synth with.
But just in general, the general vibe of the band that I like the direction that they go in. Obviously, this is 2013. In the last several years, I'm sure they've picked a direction that they've gone in, but looking at this album under a microscope, I like the JB Conspiracy as a band that can fulfill this kind of conjunction of heady synth, like cyberpunk with ska, this really unique, interesting way.
I really hadn't thought of it like that. I'm glad you brought that perspective to me.
I like it a lot, and it's why, combined with Blank's ability to emotively sing with, decent lyricism, like it really makes me hunger for just a wild concept album. I just want them to go for it. I don't care if it's like something that would, obviously I don't care. I'm sure they would care if it were mass appeal viable, something that they could make a buck on, but I would like for them to make a horrible high concept artsy album that only I would like, and that would bankrupt them.
Do you want a Mr. Roboto for JB Conspiracy? Do you want the album that breaks up the band because Lank's ego is too big?
Not Mr. Roboto. The story of Mr. Roboto sucks ass.
I love anytime I get to bring up Styx. Oh, I legitimately love Styx as a band, but that shit is hilarious. Oh my god.
Wasn't the whole thing with like the fucking lead for Styx was like, this is the greatest idea, and everyone else in the band was like, this is so dumb.
He's so far up his own ass.
Say, would you like a chocolate-covered pretzel?
It's really funny.
The story for that really sounds like something like you would have written as like a fucking 5th grader for like an essay or something.
It's very surface level and lame.
I trust the boys at JB to do better.
I think they've gotten better, and they've found their little niche within the community, and the people who listen to them like them a lot. I would say they've found their peace of mind.
Why can't I find a shred of peace of mind? These clouds, they block out the sun.
Which is the next track we're going to talk about on the album.
Music box keyboard.
There are many good keys on this album. This is the 4th one in a row with a key-oriented intro.
It's a whiplash from the last track, though, tonally.
Of course, yeah. I wrote the guitar work is all right. It's a little quiet in the mix. But the drumming is really tight. So this and the last song, decently long, not crazy. They don't feel as long as Ghosts or Wide Awake. Peace of Mind still feels alright at the duration it's at. The horns kind of kick in at the last minute of the track, but it doesn't really save it for me. I don't really think it's one of my favorites. I said it's just kind of a nothing song. It doesn't really make me fall in love with the band at all. It's just kind of there. And this is a debatable skip for me. Sometimes I listen to it. Yeah. Sometimes I could skip it. I don't think Peace of Mind is particularly great.
I think Peace of Mind is the Wide Awake for me on this one. I think...
Is this your skip?
I think I would consider this a skip. I see the Spotify analytics on plays on this one show that this one is like the least played, and I get it.
Is it? Wow, I didn't notice that.
It is by far.
Ooh. Sorry, guys. Where's that emoji? Get that JB Conspiracy emoji.
Yeah, get the difficult emoji.
The difficulty emoji for Peace of Mind.
I think.
Do you have any thoughts on the song itself? Do you have any notes?
It's definitely the most different sounding song on here.
The mix is whack. I'm just gonna say it. The mixing is whack.
Yeah, it's mixed really weird. Yeah. The fact that it's so different makes me really think like maybe some of the people on the band really liked it, but I gotta say I don't think it worked out.
It's a weird direction for this one.
I think it is not wrong in any way to have a song that sounds like this on the album, but I just don't think it's doing anything interesting.
Could have left it off the album. You could have. You could have. That's it. I don't have anything else to say about this. You want to talk about the next track?
The last track.
Yeah.
The Coming.
are coming.
I was hoping that you would finish that up.
No. It's so much funnier to call it the coming.
See, you did the fucking thing I did to you.
I did. I just
Like,
I learned from the best.
this is The Storm. This is the title track at the very end of the album.
Yeah, really cool tone setting from the beginning of this track.
I like it. I like it. I'm here for it.
Lank's singing on this one is so good. And the chorus itself is super solid. I sing this one a lot, actually. Baby, don't fall to now.
The heavy bass synth underneath the vocals are really good. And with the momentum is back, thank God.
The actual composition, the way this song flows, is great. I think it's some of the best on the album. Also, I want to point out Mai's bass. Mai's bass is great on The Storm.
This is another concept album rock opera thing. I want it.
Dude, have this end the show. Have The Storm be the last track of the show. I think so. I think it would be great.
This would have been my number 6 if we get up to number 6 on our countdown.
This is my number 5. This made my top 5. This is, I think, the first album in a while where the last song on the album actually makes my top 5. But I think The Storm is just really well made.
Did Peculiar's, the last song from that one, get your top 5?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it was Slackers, yeah. I think it was the
Was that the one that we both loved?
Bob Dylan, right? Wasn't that the last track?
Was that Shall Be Released that ended that one? I think that one got pretty high for me.
Damn, there's so many good tracks on Peculiar. I was listening to International War Criminal Live the other day. It's so good. I love those guys. Anyway, JB Conspiracy. Last track of the album is...
Another great British band.
They're not British. They're from New York. What are you talking about?
I'm selling information on the internet.
I'm selling. I'm peddling it.
Misinformation on the internet. Are you ready for it?
And I wanted to point out, this happens throughout the whole record, but I'll put it out at the very last. He ends so many lyrics. Lank ends so many lyrics with now. So many. I went back and counted all the times he does it in unique lines. He ends, baby don't fall to now, bringing you closer now. There's other tracks on that he does it now. He does it 15 times.
Number 15.
On the record, he ends a lyric with now. There you go. That's every track on the record.
Very good.
Good, right?
Yeah, overall impression. I'm a big fan of the of half of the album. I think
maybe the first half.
I really like what I really like on this album. I like when they've got the momentum high. I like when they get funky with the synth work. I like it when they're heady and they have really evocative lyricism. And of course, Lank's vocal work is fantastic. When they let the gas off, I don't like it as much. This is a band that I think has to be all gas, no brakes.
Just go to a live show. You'll like the band more if you see them live. I'm just gonna say that.
I don't know how they could perform Peace of Mind live in a way that would sell it all, man.
Honestly, I skipped it. I didn't even bother looking if there's a live showing of Peace of Mind. I wasn't that curious about it. Like I was for Going Up in Smoke.
I just want to get on my knees and beg the JB Conspiracy to let me write the concept album, please. I love funny lore. Please let me do it.
Let him do it.
Let me write the cyberpunk plot for you.
Let Austin Robertson write your cyberpunk concept album for the next album for JB Conspiracy. He'll do it. He'll do it. Give him a chance to write lore. He'll do it for free. He'll do it.
I'll do it. I'll do it for free. I'll do it right now. I'll do it anyway. I can't stop.
I think this is a good record. It's not the band's strongest showing. I actually think the album after this is better. And I think over time the band keeps getting better. And obviously there was some turmoil when they were writing songs for this record. There's some direction seeking, kind of grabbing at things that maybe didn't work. But overall, I think it turned out well. You know, there's plenty of songs to like on this album. So I would give it a 7 out of 10. I wrote too much synths, not enough water.
Wow. All right.
Not enough water.
You didn't go for the 7.3?
7.8 was the score.
Was it 8?
It was 7.8, and they stopped. We're referencing the IVGN review, where they had to stop using decimal points because people shit on them for having the first con on the chart for Pokemon Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire for too much water. That's what it was, too much water. So I wrote 7 out of 10, not enough water. That's, that's all I wanted to talk about The Storm, but I wanted to talk about the next album real quick before we get into my pick.
I'm thinking definitely 7 out of 10. Do we want to do our top 5 roundup?
Oh,
as well?
I almost forgot. I'm sorry. Yeah, let's do the top 5 roundup. So for people who know,
What is your 5er?
they can see our orders. My 5er is the final track, The Storm.
And mine was Ghosts, which I like. I like it a lot. I like the Shepherd Tone thing. Very good time.
Yeah, sure. That's totally fine for you. Number 4 was Taking Flight for me.
Number 4 was The Last Time.
My number 3 was Whispers.
And my number 3 was Taking Flight.
So you moved up one for that one. My number 2 is Sinking Ships.
My number 2 was The Escape. the first track here.
Yep. My number 1 was Say Goodbye.
My number 1 was Drop Your Anchor, which didn't chart anywhere for you.
So we only had one song in common on our top 5s. Did you notice that?
Was it only one?
It was Just Taking Flight, right? That's the only one we have in common.
Wow.
All the other ones are different.
Astonishing. And yet, both of us 7 out of 10 for the whole album.
7 out of 10. Good album.
Do you agree with me in like the direction that you have seen the new album?
Yeah, I've heard Beginnings.
For me, for the albums that I review on here, I like to come into it as like someone who's just picking it up for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, and only that, a very focused lens.
I come in full on. I got to research the band. I got to know what they were doing before, what they're doing now, what they were doing during the time of the album. Yeah. I think it gives good context, you know?
Assuming that this is the only album you'd heard from them, do you agree with the kind of direction that I would want them to go in, that I want them to lead into this like 80s neon cyber synthy ska kind of angle? I think
you've kind of sold me on it a little bit. I'll say I'm gonna say no.
It's definitely a no for me, dog.
Oh wow.
I'm not a big fan of that idea for you. I mean, you like cyberpunk stuff more than I do. I'm not really super into it.
I like the aesthetics of it for sure.
And the synthwave stuff is unique. I'll say that. It's unique and it works. I mean, obviously the synth and the keys work for this band. If you want to play into that stuff, I recommended other people the band because of how good they are. But no, I want them to explore more stuff that I like. Obviously, my tastes are a little biased. And on Beginnings, I feel like they did that a little bit. It has a much more free sound. And Lank confirmed with me that the band, I asked about, what they're doing now and how they've matured since writing The Storm. And they said they had more fun. They had more fun writing and recording the songs on Beginnings. They made the songs they wanted to make, and they didn't have as much of an agenda as they had with the Storm. That's the exact word he used. He had an agenda with The Storm.
As much as I love the idea of having them do that cyberpunk concept album, like, it is more important to me that they are actually having fun with music, because that actually is the most important thing when like selling something to me.
Yeah, more people can tell too. A lot of people agree that Beginnings is actually their best album, and I agree. It has even better drumming and better horn lines than on this record. So I want to recommend a couple tracks if you want to listen to these in your free time.
Yeah, go for it. I might have heard some of them. Let's see.
Starting Again is really good. Ego's at the Door is a number 2 for me, and Make a Promise was my favorite song on the album. That has a video. Make a Promise is very good. That's like, holy shit, JB Conspiracy. I listened to that song, I was just like, I had the opposite effect of the song I listened to with The Sponge. The Sponge song I listened to, I was like, this is just disappointing and weird sounding. What the fuck are they doing? I listened to JB Conspiracy, I'm like, yo, Make a Promise is like one of the best songs they've ever written. It's so fun. Great song. Yeah, I'll highly recommend that. So, I really dig JB Conspiracy. You've made a fan out of me by recommending this band, and I would recommend it. Yeah.
I believe I am very familiar with Falling Down from Beginnings, which I recall liking a lot.
Falling Down is also really good. Yeah, I don't think there's a skip. Actually, there might be one skip on Beginnings. I'm not sure. I don't like every single track on it, but I do think it is a better overall album than this. So I would recommend that. But yeah, The Storm. I'm glad we talked about it. Thank you for bringing up JB Conspiracy on our podcast, Austin.
Wanted something that was a bit of a curveball. I think they're a very unique band. I think they're a very talented band. I think they are exploring and they are growing, and I'm very happy for them. I'm glad that we got something interesting to widen our horizons here on the show.
We sounded, sophisticated on this episode. We sounded eloquent
and
modern.
What kind of crusty shit are you going to throw at me now? You've been hyping up, like, the Unga Bunga factor of this album.
Austin, I wrote that in my notes. I'm saying I'm going full Unga Bunga.
You're really Unga-ing my bungas, dude.
With this next pick, Austin, I'm going to pick one of my favorites.
Oh, my God.
I'm talking all-time favorite. Something that speaks directly to me. I realized the point you made last album when you mentioned that nobody wanted to listen to Slow Gherkin with you.
Yeah.
So, Austin, I can just make you listen to an album I want to talk about. And the listeners have to hear it too. Because we're going to talk about it in the episode. I wrote ha in all caps. Ha, I'm going to make you listen to it.
I've entrapped you. Now listen to this.
Austin, I'm going to... Oh, what's that? You hear the phone? I'm doing a JoJo Part 5 Diavolo. I'm making the phone sound with my mouth. What's that? Who's on the phone? Oh, somebody's on the phone. Let me script that up. Hello, Two Kings. Moshi Moshi! Tokyo Kara Ska Punk Band! Potshot Desu yo! Arigato!
Oh no, it's Potshot time.
We're talking about Potshot on the next episode of the Rude Boys
Potshot, go, boys!
We're going to be talking about 1997's Pots and Shots. buy Potshot. We're gonna talk about the debut album of this Tokyo ska punk band that I love so much.
Hotshot has been more. It has been in my my playlist more frequently.
Oh man. Oh, I'm so fucking. I'm geared up. I'm pumped. I want to talk about Potshot with you, Austin. I'm throwing all my shit, my good smart brains out the window. We're gonna listen to loud, fast ska punk. That's what we're gonna listen to next time on the Rude Boys podcast. Thanks for joining with me. I've been your host, Kyle Long.
Yeah, what a time to be alive. See you all later.
That's it. Stop recording.